Welcome to the Gibberfish Podcast.
Well, we may not be as jacked as Natalie Portman, but we're here to talk Gibberfish, aren't we, Dom?
Yep, we can only aspire to be Chadmy.
Chad May. You had a few good ones, actually. Twitter's been pretty good with the nicknames for swole Natalie Portman.
I've been trying to stay off Twitter because, as at time of recording, this is it Monday? I'm going to go and see Doctor Strange on Wednesday, so I've been staying off Twitter because with all Marvel films, there's going to be some twists and turns that you don't expect, so I've been trying to keep myself spoiler free. I haven't even watched any trailers past the first teaser.
Yeah, I haven't seen much for Multiverse Madness. To be fair, I didn't see the first Doctor Strange, so it's not really in my wheelhouse. But it looks a bit more nuts than... I mean, I saw the trailer for when I went and saw the last lot of films in the cinema. But I didn't really appreciate how much they're going into the absolute crazy part of Doctor Strange and how it's going to be used to bring certain characters into reality, I guess.
And the fact that they're bringing in... they brought in Sam Raimi to direct, so like Evil Dead, Spider-Man, Sam Raimi, so you know it's going to be feast for the eyes, and it's also going to, from what I've been told, it kind of plays out like a horror film.
So right.
Be worth a shot.
Well, that's what I quite like about we talked about the what if from Doctor Strange, from the animated series, is the idea that Doctor Strange is, he's kind of poking and prodding at some dark, deep pools of temporal water that might have some monsters in them that you really don't want to let out.
Yeah.
I guess it is also pointed at in the end of No Way Home, when you realise he can actually rip apart the fabric of reality and bring out some real evil shit.
Yeah. And is now starting to do that pretty consistently. He, obviously, we've all seen No Way Home. He just kind of goes, I'll casually tear apart reality so that this kid can forget, or this kid make the world forget that he's Spider-Man.
Which, I'd say, I actually felt kind of foolish thinking it was going to be like that. There was going to be kind of gotcha. Like, he was just going to be fucking with Peter and then just slap him in the face. I'm like, no, I'm not actually going to do that for you. But then you realise, no, actually, he would do that for a friend. And then that makes him interesting because that makes him really dangerous. But where would you, as far as Doctor Strange is concerned, is he, obviously, he's very powerful. So there's very few beings that could give him consequences. Be like, hey, you're out of line. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think what this film is going to be dealing with is there is a group of people. I think there's the Watchers. Like, there's a group of those guys that deal with any kind of tampering at time space. Like in the comics, there's the kind of like the overseers almost. I can't remember their names, but any kind of people who abuse magic and stuff like that, they would deal with it. So, like I don't really know a ton about Doctor Strange because he was a cool character, but he didn't really show up a whole hell of a lot on my comic reading when I was younger. So I don't know many of his villains. The most I've really delved into Doctor Strange was the first film, which was really good, and sort of playing as Doctor Strange in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. That's about as far as I go in with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's a weird one, and you notice that with that and Shang-Chi, that they're bringing magic into this, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, they established it by saying like all this could happen. Obviously, they tried to do it with technology. Like let's have this all, Tony Stark based. Like one of the first big enemies, Ultron, was something that Tony Stark made. They tried to kind of keep that grounded, but now they're just kind of going, no, let's go balls to the wall with this. Let's go fucking insane, quite frankly. Bring in magic and let's bring in the multiverse. I mean, the multiverse as an undertaking is insane to try and bring in.
Yeah,
like DC have done it in the sense that they have different kind of pockets of the main universe. Like they'll have the main universe with like the Justice League. Fucking hell, I am yawning like shit today. They'll have the main universe with the Justice League, like what was Ben Affleck's Batman. Then they'll have the spin-off universe with Matt Reeves' Batman. Then they'll have the TV universe, and they'll all count as different numbered universes. So they've kind of done it that way. Whereas Marvel are trying to do it all within like one film and not try and cast like, oh, this is Barry Allen from Earth 2, and this is Barry Allen from Earth 35, but they're both the same actor. Like Marvel tried to do it a different way by saying, here's Tony Stark played by Robert Downey Jr. and here's Tony Stark played by Tom Cruise. Yeah. Trying to do it on a kind of a bigger scale.
Because I thought it's funny to compare it to like the start of the Marvel stuff where it was like, no, the Asgardians aren't gods or not magic. Their technology is so good, they seem magical to us. And now we have, actual magicians showing up.
They started off saying that all the Asgardians were gods. And like, no, they're just aliens that have better technology.
Yeah, they're just so out of our league that we can't really compare to them. I guess we should probably bring up, outside to talk about the Thor trailer. Big fan of the Thor trailer. Best use of Sweet Child of Mine ever, because I hate that song.
Yeah, I think being chosen of the 90s, it is in our brains, but not in a good way.
It is every twat with a guitar.
So many times.
Yeah. That, especially the opening riff. Like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, it's like, who's doing a montage? Like, what old 90s film am I watching?
Yeah. Oh, and also we should probably talk about the fact that George Perez died. He's a DC and Marvel.
DC and Marvel Comics alum. He wrote the Infinity Gauntlet story, which inspires the entire first run of the MCU. He wrote, I don't know if he drew and wrote for, but he drew some of the original Teen Titans run, like the Teen Titans, the Judas Contract book, which is one of the very first instances of Deathstroke being in the DC comics. So if you just look through this guy's library of art and his catalog of text and stuff like that, you see this guy is just paved the way for so many good books. He's worked for both sides, DC and Marvel. It's just like a proper legend of comic books, and it comes not long after we lost another DC Comics heavy hitter in Neill Adams, who, if you think of the classic prototypical Batman, like with the grey suit, like the kind of the large, like bulky physique, he drew that. Neill Adams, he basically revolutionized Batman, quite frankly. So it's been a bit of a tough week or tough month for the comic world.
Yeah, especially when you think about how long these guys have been around. Like George Perez is dying way too young. I think he was like 57?
67.
67. Even then, still way too young.
Still too young, yeah.
But if you consider that's maybe 30 to 40 years of his career, that's your life. That could be your entire life, easily. Could be occupied by this band's writing. And that sticks around for a while. So yeah, yep. It's a shame. You feel bad for everybody who's kind of looking at that and, is now looking at their bookshelf going, shit, sorry, George, didn't get to finish all your stuff. Because that's one of the best feelings you can have. You get to meet someone who wrote something that inspired you, and you just say thank you for it. It's really a great feeling.
And he was massive in the convention circuit as well. He would have spots at local conventions like New York Comic Con, things like that, where he would just go and meet people dressed as his character, stuff like that. He was determined to do stuff like that, and he would. I think he was one of the writers and sort of artists and stuff that if you sent him stuff, he would sign it and send it back to you with extra stuff with it. So he was always active, and he was always kind of in there, like doing his bit for the community, as well as doing these wonderful books that are still continuing to be relevant today. Like he wrote the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, like one of the biggest tie-in books for DC, which showed all the universes colliding into each other, making the one core DC universe. Like, he did that in, obviously, Infinity Gauntlet. And he's also, there's some characters that he created himself, like with the Teen Titans. I think he was the one who introduced Tim Drake in Teen Titans, and he was just one of those people that everything he touched was something spectacular. So
yeah,
it's going to be a pleasure going through George Perez's back catalogue and just reading what's there, because there's some big books to be read.
It's mostly impressive that somebody can handle writing at massive scale, like the Infinity Gauntlet, the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Handling massive, heavy, like huge concepts, like big sci-fi blockbuster ideas, but then at the same time you give him the chance to write a small character, not like a small character, but like a character that's so kind of detailed and gritty as like Tim Drake. And the idea that you get those little like small character, what's the idea you could write both from the same guy is kind of really impressive.
Versatility was his name, whereas Neil Adams was he was famous for doing one key thing. He was very famous for Batman and doing like you've probably seen it, like the Joker with the massive toothy grin and the green hair, like in a business suit looking Joker. That was what Neil Adams was famous for, really. And George Perez just had his like bits of everything. Like he was in Deathstroke, Justice League. He did some Nightwing for the New 52, Supergirl. Like he was all over the place, man. And I think his departure leaves the grand landscape of comic books a little bit dimmer.
Imagine looking at some of Neil Adams' artwork here. Really interesting, really good like colors and shadows as well. Also, beyond jacked Batman, like holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting designs. This guy really knows, like, it's just different from what I think of when I think of Batman, but it's just because it's more stylized than everything else that I've seen.
Yeah, and one of the most important people just in comic books in general, because he is the guy that fought for the creator of Superman to get credit in comic books and in the films.
Oh yeah, so like, based on the
Siegel and Joe
characters
Shuster,
by...
like he fought like shit to get those guys recognition.
It's always good when somebody like that has like not just like a personal touch or like they've got the quality of the work, but they end up with like an industry impact role as well. So you could say, hey, not only did he achieve all this, but when it came down to representing his team at the table, this is what he did for the community, the team, the business, the industry. That's always kind of impressive to hear as well.
Yeah. And he was that kind of person that's just, one of our own is getting screwed out here, let's pull together. And I think he pulled together a massive team of people to kind of rally around Siegel and Schuster, which I think might have included George Perez. Because Neil Adams, he'd been going since, well, he was 80 when he passed away, so I think he was in that industry for a good 50-odd years, just drawing stuff and, writing things and just breaking ground with DC Comics and Marvel Comics. Like this is how prolific Neil Adams was. He drew that. I mean, it might not be iconic for you, Colin, but iconic picture of Superman fighting Muhammad Ali. That was Neil Adams that drew that.
I'm gonna go
that
find
came
that.
That came out in a time when Muhammad Ali was considered a superhero as well. So it's like, fuck it, let's make him fight Superman, because that's a fair fight.
That actually looks really good, especially with the wider. There's a wide crowd shot as well that I've seen. I'm not sure if it's actually. Yeah, that looks really good. You want that in a poster?
Yeah,
it's better than. We talked about an anime called Baki before.
Yeah, I tried to watch that a couple of times. It just looks so weird.
It's not. If you don't like it, I get it. It's not for me either. But I've watched 2 seasons of it. But yeah, they have Muhammad Ali show up, and it's actually a key character in the plot is Muhammad Ali's son.
All right.
And it's just really weird. Like you're wondering how they're going to handle the fact that towards the end of his life he was really showing like the shakes from Parkinson's and like how they're going to handle that. And it was not handled gracefully. Let's put it that way. And just like this weird character of like, oh yeah, also in the midst of all this underground fighting tournament, they all respect Muhammad Ali as an artist, but not as a martial artist. He more kind of dabbles with the secret sciences, whereas his son is like, no, I've turned this boxing thing into a killing art. And you're like, what the shit are you talking about?
Yeah.
I do the same thing, but this time I'm going to punch through your face, and he does it. You're like, okay, cool, but why? why though? Yeah, Baki is insane, but it's just the way that you could handle a character as this as revered and as important historically as Muhammad Ali. I don't know if you ever see clips of him, like just him talking to people in the ring, or him at like pre-fight press conferences. There's a dude who refuses to call him Muhammad Ali and keeps referring to him as Cassius Clay, which is his Christian name. Obviously, Muhammad Ali converted to Islam, took an Islamic name, and fought under that. And everyone's like, no. People are like, no, he's Cassius Clay. And you're like, that's the wrong thing to say to the man who's about to spend the next 20 minutes beating the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Because now it's personal. Now you fucked up.
Described as having one of the deadliest punches in boxing at that time. Yeah, sure, go ahead, piss him off, see what happens.
Yeah, talk shit, get hit.
Yeah.
Extreme Rules Edition. That and obviously nobody talks shit about Tyson, but Tyson Fury, not Tyson Fury, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson's been on a tear recently. I keep seeing him in different places. He's a lot of fun. Especially now he's older and wiser, but still has that kind of spark in him. Like that little bit of crazy keeps leaking out. And you're like, yes.
He's still got that bit of mongrel. Like, you know, he's going to keep the heat, but at the same time, he will beat the living shit out of you in the most legal way possible.
Well, we all saw that photo. I think we didn't talk about this. It was him on the plane, and it was a guy who was behind him talking shit constantly, and he told him to fuck off, and he did not fuck off. And in accordance with the rules, you talk shit, you get hit.
Yeah,
it is Mike Tyson reaching over the back of his chair and wailing on this guy, and it was like, yeah, you know what? You probably deserved it, because having seen interviews and stuff with Mike Tyson, that part of him is buried deep, and if you have to keep poking and prodding and scratching at him to get to it, you've had your fair chance. You've had your warnings. You fucked up.
Yeah, he's dealt with those demons. If you're pissing him off to the point where he, brings that out, it's your own fault.
There's an interview with him. I can't remember who he's being interviewed by, but he asks, the interviewer asks Mike Tyson, what do you think Consumado did to you to make you into who you are, to make you into the world's deadliest, the world's baddest man? And he honestly looks at you, he's got tears in his eyes, and he's like, I don't know what happened. I know who I was. I don't recognize that guy anymore, but I don't know how I got there. And you're like, oh shit, that's scary. He has very little control over what's going on here, or he had at that time. But now he's mellowed out. He's nice older. He's very fun to listen to, because obviously when you get to a certain age and when you have access to the sheer amount of wealth and insane, whatever he wanted, like nothing was off limits for him. The stories you get out of a life like that are amazing. I mean, the guy owned tigers at one point.
Yeah,
it's my favorite like Joe Rogan clip ever interview of him. It's just him being like, what are you doing there? And he's like, I don't know. Why did I buy tigers? I think I bought them just to have them. Somebody said, I can get a tiger? I was like, hell yes.
I can contribute to that more privately owned tigers bullshit.
But yeah, somehow at some point we were supposed to talk about Thor, by the way. I don't know when that happened. But
I mean, it was meant to happen, but then we got sidetracked, as happens on this podcast. If you show up listening to this podcast expecting a coherent thought taken from A to Z, then I'm just going to ask you to leave. Like,
this is not the podcast for you.
This is not a high thought podcast.
Speaking of from A to Z, Angst and Zigzag are two new tracks from Rammstein. Like that segue?
All right, I thought we were talking about Thor, but yeah, we can go.
Okay.
We can put Rammstein.
It's a trailer. Looks good. It sells me a film. Trailer. It's what it's supposed to do.
It didn't grab me immediately. I'm slightly worried about how they're going to do Gore the God Butcher, but fuck it, Rammstein.
Yeah. So a new album came out from them, and I've had a few listens to like a few of the tracks. It sounds pretty good to me. My main thing I want to talk about, if you get the chance, go to YouTube and watch the videos for Zigzag, which is about plastic surgery, and Angst, which is about, the ever-growing shit show that is the internet and how it affects your personal and private lives. Two fantastic videos. Although for some reason I thought the opening to Zigzag was them naming like the 7 deadly sins. Turns out no, it's them like saying like bigger, faster, stronger, better, tougher, tighter. It's just plastic surgery stuff. But for some reason it just sounded like the 7 deadly sins, even though there's only 6 of them. So not exactly my proudest moment. But yeah, I think especially the video for Angst, I find it to be really like, their videos have always been top tier. I remember Link's 234.
Oh yeah.
I
remember that being on Kerrang every 20 minutes back in the day.
And Sona, the one for the dwarves and the Snow White. Have you seen the uncensored version of that?
Not in ages.
They're snorting gold dust like cocaine.
Oh fuck!
I caught it once because we do like music stuff with the family where we just turn YouTube music on and everybody just sets like fires the tracks into like a playlist, and we put on Sona, and it's like did she just snort gold? We take the video back and sure enough, they're sort of doing a line of gold off a plate, and you're like, that was never there, right? We're not like forgetting this from like childhood. Like, no, they must have taken it off. Like it's way too close to cocaine. It must have been removed by censors. But yeah, there's like a seriously high quality. Like obviously the video for Firefly kind of doesn't really count because it's used for the Triple X movies with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Even though
which I continually forget are even a thing. Like I went downstairs recently and I've seen my folks watching it. And it genuinely confused me for about a good 2 minutes as to what the hell they were watching. I'm like, it's Vin Diesel, and it's Samuel L. Jackson's there. Is this a Fast and the Furious that I haven't seen? Which could happen. I've only seen 2. Like, what the fuck is this film? Then it came up Triple X. I'm like, all right, the world makes sense again.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing that was there in the early 2000s, along with so many other fucking things.
They made a third one of that, I'm pretty sure. Because I know they had the
made a
second one.
film?
The second one was Ice Cube.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But I'm relatively sure there was a third one. I need to check it out, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it actually, and just totally blanked out in my mind. It was like that bad. Because they bring back Vin Diesel after the end of the first one. I'm like, hey, but you can't. We saw what happened. No, bro, it was a fake the whole time. You know, shit. We're pulling the bullshit out. Okay. I can understand the writing of this movie.
It's what writing?
The
director just said do cool shit, then went into his trailer and drank.
See a motorbike, jump that motorbike. Like, use it to jump stuff? No, just jump over it. I'll set it on fire. It'll be cool as shit.
Yeah. And you're going to get in your Chevrolet because Chevrolet are sponsoring this movie. Then you're going to drive into a burning building and not leave it.
When that kill us, doesn't matter. We'll fake it in
Doesn't
CG.
matter. It'll look awesome.
We'll fix it in the edit.
But you might die. I don't care. Guns for bitches, bro. You bitch.
You gonna die? Oh, you gonna die like a little baby? I saw a different director being on set. Like, oh, you gonna die in a fire like a little baby? Anyway, Rammstein. Totally sidetracked, but yeah, really liking the album so far. I've not heard all of it all the way through. But yeah, it is so far really good. They're always consistently good at their videos as well as the music quality is fantastic. I'm like, I don't know why though, because when you listen to it, it seems quite simplistic. But there's just something about the way they arrange it all that just comes across as just perfect.
There's one thing I realized about Rammstein after listening to them, a couple of songs off the new record. Rammstein were never heavy in terms of like the unclean vocals and just like the driving kind of dirty guitar sound. They were always just kind of a bit more melodic, and it's now becoming more apparent that was always the style that they were going for. And I just somehow in my head thought, all right, these guys are like proper, heavy as all hell metal.
It did slip us by. Like you just assume because everything else is heavy, like that their style is very heavy, but it's industrial. It's not like heavy metal. It's a weird one. It totally slips by because like the Angst video has like a bit more of a kind of growl from Till Lindemann. That's the singer.
Yeah, I was going to say his vocals haven't really changed because I think he'll be getting on in the years. Not I'm saying he's at death's door or anything like that, but usually get the vocal style changing. But he's kind of maintained that kind of like the same level of singing. Not had to change or adapt his vocal style in years.
He's 59. Looking not too shabby for 59. But yeah, I think because he's not screaming, he's not really using his throat that much. It's a very kind of like from the gut. It's very deep. And obviously, if that's just his natural voice, kind of doing half the work for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he might be able to preserve that for a lot longer, which is why Rammstein's consistent sound-wise from the original stuff to like now, which is impressive. Actually, you introduced me to something I wasn't expecting. It was the I've forgotten the name of it, but it's the Trivium guitarist Matt Heafy has a new project.
Oh shit! Is it Ronin? The song's called Ronin.
Yeah, the song's called Ronin. I should probably pull up the video for it.
Ibaraki.
Ibaraki, yes.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I was not expecting Gerard Way to be able to scream like that.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was like, okay, he's putting the whole My Chemical Romance Black Parade bullshit behind him, and he's just doing he's trying something new, and I think it works.
You say you do think it or don't think it works?
Do think it works? Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I was convinced. It's something I think you could probably hit that range of like getting to that really high pitched black metal screaming that you could do quite easily. But at the same time, like I don't know how big the audience would be for that, especially from him. Because as you say, like he has a whole massive chapter of his life is My Chemical Romance, the Black Parade, the eyeliner, the bleach blonde hair, the thousands of like underage fans screaming at him for every concert. It's a very hard transition from that to no, guy. Seriously, I'm a real black metal musician.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you get him on an album with HR from Emperor, and I think Nurgle is supposed to be on another track.
Yeah.
Later on in the album, so I'm like, I'm not sure what dark magic might he worked to get them all in the same room together, but I'm impressed that he pulled it.
I think he's one of those people that's just worked in the industry for so long. He doesn't really have to do much to get people to work with him. He just kind of phones up people. Like, I imagine that's how most of the metal industry works. Hey, you want to do a record with me? Yep, sure. So, I mean, I was listening to a song that Sepultura made during lockdown, and Devin Townsend appears and does vocals on it. I was like, cool. I can appreciate that.
Wait, as in like new Sepultura or like Cavalier Brothers back in the day?
Oh, this is Derek Green, Sepultura.
Ah, okay, right. I was trying to forget. I was like, I don't think he did anything with them. But no, okay. It's the generation of stuff I've missed from them.
Yeah.
Is the new stuff any good from Sepultura?
It's a decent song. I haven't heard much else from Sepultura, but yeah, the one track that I've heard from recent outings is pretty good.
Yeah, because there was a period, I would say, when you take over the band, you kind of take over the back catalogue, and people kind of still expect that back catalogue to be used in live shows, and you're like, buddy, you should not be playing that. That's not your song. It's not really your style. I wouldn't really do that one live. But at the same time, you have no other option because people paying for a Sepultura concert want to see that song list. And, for legal reasons, the Cavalier brothers probably can't do most of it on set. Yeah. But yeah, there's like kind of a nightmare situation of I'm stuck with the old fans hating my new ass, and I have to play their old favourite song, and I'm not going to be the same as what they want. You could even be better. You're not the same, though. So, get fucked, I guess.
It's kind of like what happened with Killswitch Engage. Everyone wanted them to be more like Howard, but Jesse Leach just doesn't have that range.
Yeah, and at the same time, when Howard joined, they wanted to be more like Jesse Leach.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're never going to understand that about ourselves. That we always do the same bullshit every time something like this happens.
Yeah, I mean, prime example. I used to watch Doctor Who. With every new Doctor, people are just like, oh man, I miss the old guy. Well, give the new guy a shot. Do you really want Matt Smith to be doing David Tennant shit? Give the new guy a shot. And I'd say that about the newest Doctor. Give him a shot. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
he's Scottish as well, so.
But can you pronounce his name?
No.
He's an interesting name. I can't figure out what the exact pronunciation of it is, but yeah, I'd say give him a go. There's nothing wrong with just a new bit of change. You might find something better that you didn't appreciate before. But yeah, I think it's we just don't like change, which is why I spent today listening to Amon Amarth versus the World, one of the best albums I've ever listened to, and I forgot how good it was. It's an absolute classic, and I sent a screenshot of the album artwork to my brothers, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot how good this album was." And I was like, "Not feeling it today. Might listen to that on the way to the gym." Like, do it. Prepare to lift the entire gym with one hand, but do it.
I'll say that again. Jesus, I usually find myself doing that with like a lot of older records. Like I'll go back to I listened to, funnily enough, Surtur Rising. It's just like I remember seeing this band. I remember seeing all of these songs live when I went to see them. The first and only time I ever went to see Amon Amarth, and that kind of led me into this kind of wormhole where I was like going back and listening to "Come Clarity" by In Flames and the Akuma Afterglow by Soilwork. And I was like, okay, is this what we're going to do today? And yeah, that is exactly what I did that day, and I did not regret spending 3 hours listening to the old metal. I say old metal, like early 2000s, mid 2000s metal.
Yeah, somebody out there a little older than us, possibly Canadian, saying, "Hey, fuck you guys."
Yeah.
Those were new bands back in my day, back when I was with a beard thing. So, Versus the World by Amon Amarth, the album playlist. Death and Fire, From the Stab Wounds in Our Backs, Where Silent Gods Stand Guard, Versus the World, Across the Rainbow Bridge, Down the Slopes of Death, 1,000 Years of Repression, Bloodshed, and Soon the World Will Cease to Be. And then you get into the bonus ones. Death and Fire, basically the entire album live. Yeah, it's basically the entire album again, but live. That is an absolute monster soundtrack. Because I'm pretty sure the live from the remasters is like Wacken Open Air Festival.
Yeah.
Because they're always there. So, yeah, absolute killer playlist. So, yeah, that's going on tomorrow, and I'm going to the gym, and everyone better run. That's all I'm going to say. There will be no survivors.
I'm stepping in. You know what I'm listening to. Shit might happen.
I obviously we've got into that kind of quiet point in the year where all the New Year people have dropped off. They stayed around a decent amount longer than I thought they would. I'll give them that. They were still there in March. Some of them looked a bit skinnier. Pretty impressive. Well done, lads. Pat yourself in the back. And now we're into the summer phase where we've had like a month and a bit that's been kind of quiet, like 6 weeks of pre-quiet, like gym time, and now we're into like the gym bros getting their pump on. So you've got the dudes walking in with like the fake big back because you see like the really big guys can't move their arms properly, like not like bodybuilder big, like that type of big, or Mr. Olympia big, where they all just kind of puff out the shoulders a bit. Like nobody in this gym has that shape or that size of back muscle yet. Yeah. You don't.
People
need to
are working
do
on
the
it, but they
fake
haven't
walk.
quite got it yet.
Yeah. Nobody's even close, bro.
Yeah.
And you walk around, you see people walk around the gym like, yeah, bro, got this. Can barely fit through the door because you're sticking your elbows out, you bitch. It's that.
Something I need to get back to doing. I need to get.
On you go.
It's something I need to get back into the swing of just going to the gym or even just doing some kind of workout. Because I realised since I finished uni, I've just been doing nothing. Like I started replaying, as I always seem to do, and I think I've spoken about it here before. I like replaying my Resident Evils after I've done something like pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been replaying that. Realised the port of Resident Evil 5 that they put out on the Xbox and PlayStation 4 is a pile of shit.
Yeah.
In the sense that if you play split screen, it all goes through one profile. So the second player basically just has to get the first player to do everything for them, and it crashes half the time. Yeah,
that's broken. That's not a piece of shit. That's broken.
Yeah, Capcom need to fix it. But the game's been out for about 5-6 years, so I doubt they're going to fix it.
Yeah,
I realise I've kind of done fuck all. Maybe put on a bit more weight. So because I've not been at rugby as well, I feel like I've just been wasting away a wee bit. So I need to get back into the swing and doing something, even if it's just doing the haunted J word and going out and do some run.
I found I was doing the same thing where like even if I'm not able to make it to the gym, I just feel shit. But I recommend bodyweight stuff. Very simple list of just like every day, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, go take a shit, whatever. Don't shit yourself doing these, but just 50 bodyweight squats, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups. Just moving yourself that much gets you up and moving first thing in the morning and gives you a good start to the day. If you can go at the gym for work or whatever, go for it. That's a really good boost into the day. But beyond that, I just like something simple just to get yourself moving and doing it before you, because I feel like once you sit down, you kind of commit to not doing anything anymore.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the minute I sit behind the PC, I'm just thinking, right, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look for a job and do not much else. I'm just going to neglecting quite a lot else that I could be doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for a job. 50 YouTube videos later. Oh shit! I'll look for a job. Bro.
I looked for a job, just not in the right place.
Oh, I typed in Steve Jobs and I've watched the movie again. Damn it! I did it again.
Not much that could make me watch that film again.
There's like 5 Steve Jobs documentaries or like life
the one
stories.
Michael Fassbender and Seth Rogen that I watched.
Yeah, Seth Rogen and Steve Wozniak. I'm like, no, fuck off.
No, he was the best part of it. I did not enjoy any other part of that film.
I actually chose like recently to just stop being at my PC and just to do like recording stuff or to actually just actually play video games on it. And I just took myself through the main like living room and was like, no, if I'm gonna watch something, I sit at the sofa, or I'm gonna watch it on a laptop. I'm not gonna sit and just it's too easy to just be lost in having like I got two screens. I'll have one that's being productive watching YouTube. And the other open with a Discord that's never really in use other than to record episodes. Or like reading through other stuff, or like having a Netflix window open and adding more to the list of shit I'm not going to watch. But I realised I had a lot of DVDs and stuff that I built up over time. And it wasn't until I gave myself a stern talking to about buying too many DVDs and not actually watching them. And I sat down and watched them, and I watched like 2, and I went back and bought like 10 more. So I'm like, nope, I have to actually clear the playthrough of stuff that I'm buying, because otherwise I'm just stockpiling and hoarding shit that I'm not going to actually use, and it's a waste of time and money, and you're not actually getting out of it. You have a DVD collection, you have a Blu-ray collection or whatever, but you're not actually engaging with it. You're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, it's something I definitely had to do. I had to stop buying DVDs uselessly. And it kind of hit me around about the time we were talking about this off podcast or off the recording, off mic. Holy shit! We're talking about the Marvel films. It was around about the time the Eternals came out on DVD, Blu-ray. That I realised, am I just buying all these to have them, or do I actually enjoy some of these films? Because up to a certain point, yes, I do enjoy most of the Marvel films, but I didn't like Black Widow enough. It was good, unexpectedly good. But I didn't enjoy it enough to go out and buy the Blu-ray, and I certainly did not enjoy the Eternal. Any way, shape, or form. And, the only one I'd be buying out of... In fact, the only Marvel film I bought out of this phase is Spider-Man No Way Home, because that film is brilliant. And Shang-Chi was really good, but I was bored by that as well. Yeah, I get it. It's the real Mandarin, and it's really, really good choreographed fights. Ultimately, it's not that groundbreaking a film. And then I was just kind of thought to myself, well, I don't buy it then. And that's why I stopped buying the DC Extended Universe films, because I don't enjoy any of these movies. Like, fucking Aquaman is the biggest pile of shit you will ever watch. It's such a bad film.
I can't believe it's Jason Wan directing that.
Yeah, James Wan.
James Wan, sorry. I don't know where I put Jason from.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that is about right.
Yeah, he's good, and Willem Dafoe's good. The film itself was just, not good.
I need to give my I've got the Snyder Cut on Blu-ray. I'm going to give that to my here. If you want to watch it, go for it. I'm not watching this again.
I have the 4K version of that I still need to watch.
We were supposed to discuss that, weren't we? At some point, we were supposed to. You've said the word yawning so much that I'm now yawning. You fucking cunt.
You paid me, or
it's a self-destruction.
Yeah, it's just this circle of self-sabotage. We were meant to be doing the Satoshi Kon films, and I started on Tokyo Godfathers 3 times. Just don't enjoy it. Like,
Yeah,
really don't enjoy it.
I don't enjoy it. There's a discussion going on right now with film criticism. There's one that kind of popped back up again. Can you criticize a movie you didn't finish? And I would say you could, because the fact you couldn't sit through it is a form of criticism. Like, it was so bad I couldn't finish it is a way of saying I did not enjoy this movie. I don't think that gives you the chance to give it say I have the correct opinion on it, but I think you can definitely put out the idea that this film was so unwatchable I couldn't actually sit all the way through it.
I wouldn't say that Tokyo Godfathers is unwatchable. It looks nice.
Oh, no,
it looks very nice.
I'm speaking generally. Like, if you say that it was unwatchable, I'm like, excuse me, sir. Yeah. we are sitting down with a bottle of whiskey and we're fixing this movie for you.
Just I didn't really care.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get into a story like that if you're not already up for it.
Yeah, and also they just seem to pick on the one person. They pick on them unnecessarily. Like they keep calling them derogatory words for gay people, and I was like, that's I get is a film can be of its time, but
Yeah.
let's not call them that, shall we?
That, and I'm not gonna lie, Japan has a very weird culture when it comes to certain things like that. Like, it's just like the idea of being PC in Japan is just not a thing.
Yeah, it really isn't.
And it's
Someone that I know, their brother lived in Japan for several years, and yeah, he was constantly just torn to shreds for being like, the tall, lanky guy from overseas. They made him like do pretty racist things, like they would leave, see you Jimmy hats and stuff on his table at work. Okay, okay, clearly they don't have a grasp on PC culture over in Japan, but they lived on an island for years. They're weird.
yeah. They lived isolated in an island for 200 years. And yeah, that's an interesting way of forming a culture. But it's. Where are we going with this? I don't know. Yeah, movies.
Yeah, movies. We were talking about movies, and I was talking about how I couldn't sit through Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm like, it's movies that I've watched. This animated stuff that like I was like, I'm not sure if I should bring them up, but just there's stuff here. I'm like, I could never ever show you these movies. They're just too boring. I don't know what it is. I hate rom-coms. I hate soppy drama stuff. But if you animate it, I'll watch it. I have no idea why, and I'll actually love it a lot of the time. My new obsession, I probably could call it that.
Yeah.
It's called Horimiya, and it is an animated series that's only like 12 episodes, based on a manga that's like 16 volumes. I went and bought the digital manga for this one, and it is just a couple of like high school kids falling in love. It is the nicest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm just all in on this, and I have no idea why. But it's just great cast, great characters. The English dub for it's fantastic. The animation's good. Reading the original manga for it, or it was originally like a webcomic, became a manga, and then was animated. Reading the manga for it, all the charm is still there. Like the characters are still themselves, even though it's not voice acted, but you can still see certain things. That I remember that from the show. But at the same time, like it's one of the things I'm like, I can't show this to anyone. No one I know is going to enjoy this. But yeah, like Tokyo Godfathers, a great example of like, as much as we want the weird horror stuff from Satoshi Kon, like if he wants to make something that's reflective of like a weird kind of version of, I always thought this as being like Charles Dickens. Like if it's not a Charles Dickens story directly, but if he was going to write something about losing kids and like homeless people helping find orphans and stuff like that in the middle of Tokyo, that's what it'd be like. There's something very A Christmas Carol about the whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of took it as there's three of them, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of took it as a bit of a Three Wise Men type of thing. Again, this is my previous Christian background coming bleeding into the foreground, but yeah, I thought it was a kind of a take on the Three Wise Men, except they find, lost child.
The real treasure is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if you just want to skip Tokyo Godfathers and just say, I just tap out, I give in,
Yeah.
I more than understand that. But yeah, like the idea that you can't say that about a movie and call yourself a critic is laughable. Like, yeah, you should probably sit through some. Like, again, I know you're not saying Tokyo Godfathers is a shitty movie, but I think people who love cinema should sit through shitty films. Don't just watch the 10 out of 10s. Don't just watch the masterpieces. Especially if you want to make movies, watch bad films so you can learn what doesn't work.
It's like again, going back to since we are talking about Japan, like the Japanese practice for cooking, like particularly in desserts and stuff like that, is to take a chocolate cake and make it deliberately acrid. So that it's this overwhelming sweet taste. It's to make it just a little bit, so you're not just getting this, sugar, like kind of dull the sugar a wee bit, so you're actually getting a bit more of flavour. So I think what you said there, yeah. If you try to call yourself a critic for every the Batman for every The Dark Knight Rises that you watch, you need to go and maybe watch Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or you need to go and watch Ang Lee's The Hulk, or Ang Lee's Hulk. I think you just need to go and force yourself through that.
I was gonna say, Dom, you can't just stop with the old Arnie films for Batman. You gotta go watch. You gotta go down to like the fan parodies that you find on YouTube at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
When YouTube just hits the weird button and lets you see the weird shit. But no, Ang Lee's The Hulk is worse than that. So yeah, go with that.
Yeah. And if you really, really want to go down the horrible route, you go to the 1970s, 1980s direct-to-DVD Captain America film where they made the Red Skull Italian because they didn't want to piss off the Germans.
Actually, I suppose 1980s, that part of Germany is still Russia. So yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that the Hitler's right-hand man, effectively in the in the thing, was an Italian man. Like, that's not how that worked, bro.
Yeah. They didn't want to piss off Germans.
You're like, the Italians take it like that. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Throw spaghetti at us? Fuck off.
Cut our heads off with steel pizza. Well, a job on us with pizza.
But
they won't do that.
I think there's real quality watching. I enjoy really bad movies, but at the same time, like, actually sitting down to think about, especially if you stop and think about what you just saw and you just write it down. Like, okay, this pissed me off here. This is why. Like, here's what didn't work. Here's what I want to see in the future. That type of thing really helps you think about it.
Yeah, I actually did that recently with the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And I realised why I don't like that film. It's not because, it's not. People say, "Oh, the Phantom Menace ruined it as a meme." Quite frankly, it is a meme. But when you stop and watch that film, you realise that it's not good for multiple reasons. The first one, Kid Anakin's a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that kid. Secondly, there's so much discussion of politics. At one point, Captain Panaka and Queen Amidala are just sitting in basically a big conference meeting, and you have to just sit there going, "Can we go back to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan? They're actually doing shit." Even at that, 9 times out of 10, they're just sitting talking to people. There's only one really big lightsaber fight in the entire thing, and that is the only saving grace of that film is the Duel of Fates at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, it's boring as shit. Like, Darth Maul is a terrible villain.
He's just there. He looks kind of spooky, and he shows up with a twin-sided lightsaber. Ooh.
Yeah, everybody wanted that back in primary school, high school, whenever that fucking film came out.
That would have been primary for us when it first came out.
Yeah, 99,000.
Yeah. I just think, like, the key thing that you bring up there is it's so boring. And the majority of people who are like, "Hey, what do you think of that first Star Wars film?" And it's just, I don't know, I don't like it, I don't remember it that well. And it's all that. And then, oh yeah, I suppose the guy with the twin swords at the end is pretty cool. That's kind of the point. The issue there is like a 2-hour film, and you don't remember anything but the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing sticks out, nothing's memorable. There's a scene where they go to an underwater city, and yet no one remembers that. Because it's so fucking boring.
Because it's preceded by one of the most pedestrian, tame, milquetoast chases. Like, because they're getting chased by a giant squid, like, cracking motherfucker. And it's just... like, it's done so... Or it's done so plainly, done so route one that you're just... They're going to get out. Because, well, there's no stakes to it.
They're clearly the main characters, and we're a half an hour into this 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
This is not going to be an issue for them.
And of course, there's the big elephant in the room, Jar Jar. I actually found myself fast forwarding every bit that he's spoken.
The exact lines down, just skipping over his bits specifically.
Yeah. It sounds petty, but that's exactly what I thought. I was like, I don't want to hear this franchise ruining fuck talk.
How?
And actually, I mean, because I was planning to do a whole rewatch of Star Wars, like go from, the very, it's starting to get a bit more recognition now because people are saying, oh, maybe it's better than the sequels. But episodes 1, 2, and 3, not my cup of tea. Episode 3 redeems itself with the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, but apart from that, not that good. 4, 5, and 6, untouchable, fucking perfect trilogy. Then it gets to 7, 8, and 9. It just goes in random twists and turns. Episode 1 killed my rewatch. It's like, I'm not doing that. Because I know it's 9 films and only 3 of them are good. Only 3 of them are knockout. that I want to watch.
Yeah. And those were written and are very well self-contained as an original trilogy. That you can kind of ignore everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I often think about this. And again, we're getting sidetracked here, but fuck it, who cares? How good would it have been if we didn't know what the Clone Wars was? We didn't know who Anakin Skywalker, Padme, we didn't know who any of these fucks were, and we just had those 3 films.
Yeah.
And, we could do spin-off shit, like give Boba Fett, a boxing ring or something. Better than what they gave him in fucking Book of Boba Fett. Let's make him a crime lord. Why? Explain that one.
Because he's dark and edgy and he's a
shit.
criminal.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be a criminal anymore. He wants to control who's going to hire bounty hunters because bounty hunters deserve a break. Blah blah fucking blah.
Maybe I can turn my life around for my son. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Django's like
people have other motivations in life other than their kids. How about that, American writers?
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
It's Disney's writers at this point. Fucking what's her name? Kathleen Kennedy.
She's just sitting on a pile of money being like, make it bigger.
He's just like, I'm going to make my pile of money bigger. Oh, you're going to write a story about Boba Fett. We'll make him useless. And is there a female in it? She's the badass. It's Boba Fett. I have spoken.
I have decided the twist of your show. It will be glorious.
Yep, the Force is female. Remember that.
But I will pay you $10 billion to make it. And you're like, fuck, I really want to make it.
Shit.
Oh, that's a
$10
lot of money.
billion from the mouse to make a show.
If I skim
I guess I'll do
1% of the top off of that for myself, I will be so rich. It's just the Star Wars films. I keep thinking about the sheer fucking nuts on George Lucas being like, no, I can tell the story without giving you the beginning. And we'll just skip to part 4. And it worked.
Yeah.
The ironclad testicles on that man.
Because what George Lucas did is what Disney trying to do and failing miserably. George Lucas gave you the 3 films and then said to other people, right, you're going to write about it. You're going to let people imagine what this was like. But you can't do anything before my movies. You can extend after my films. You can show what happens to Luke, Palpatine. You can have Anakin come back as a fucking Force Ghost, whatever you want.
Yeah, you can write in between the movies for
before
Vader
my
and stuff.
films.
And that's where the majority of the Star Wars fandom is this kind of weird in the middle from the start of the first movie, or the start of the 4th movie onwards, is just this massive amount of information written by fans for fans that is awesome. Some of it's really cool. Yeah. I'm not going to sit and go into it because it's one of the things of I don't want to be in this franchise. I just don't, I know where it goes. I know all this stuff doesn't count for anything anymore. It doesn't mean anything. So there's no point in memorizing all the cool events that happen to Vader in these spin-off films because it doesn't really happen anymore. We've decided that it's too much. We need to kind of slim down the canon and make it accessible to the masses.
Yeah. I think that's what they tried to do, and it didn't work. I mean, in my mind, it didn't work because they tried to make the canon easily accessible and easily digestible to the general public, and then the general public just went, hold on, why? Where's all the cool shit we had? Where's all the books? I remember reading a comic, and at the end of it, it describes Luke Skywalker as moving so fast and wielding his lightsaber, his lightsaber, so deftly that it looked like he had a trail of 14 lightsabers behind it. That's how strong he was. And then it cuts to The Last Jedi, and he's like, I'm going to destroy the Jedi. The Jedi deserve to die. You kind of screwed yourself there, didn't you? You cut out all the cool shit that people wanted just to try and convince them that, no, we're going to give you new shit and it's going to be better. I'm like, nah, I want, old school Luke Skywalker that could wield the Force like it was, spirit bombs and shit like that.
Well, after the second film, there's a comic book about Vader basically just deciding he's bored, so I want to be hunted. And he pays an admiral of the fleet. He's like, hey, you like to go big game hunting, don't you? Yeah, I like going around, hunt some weird animals, make some interesting trophies. How could you hunt me? get 10 of your best guys, drop me on a planet, drop you on a planet, last man standing wins.
How's that sound, boys?
Like, that's psychotic. That is insane. But at the same time, it kind of works and shows you a different side of Vader. Shows you this weird, like, the idea that there's all these officers, this kind of academy, these born and bred gentlemen of war, and of course they like to go hunting at the weekends. Why wouldn't you? It's the sport of kings, I guess. And then like all of a sudden it just like, could we combine those two together? That's a weird, fun story to tell. But you just gotta kind of make it mediocre, and it's about the Skywalker family again. Half-ass some movies.
I think at this point we're all fucking done with the Skywalker saga. The Skywalkers and the rest of them. You can just fuck off.
And people keep trying to tempt you back in, like, come on, man, Mandalorian's so good. And I'm like, I know where it goes, though.
Mandalorian's really good. I will give them that. Mandalorian's pretty good, and purely because I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, I will be watching Kenobi when it comes out in a couple of weeks. But apart from that, I think Star Wars movies, Star Wars films, I am completely done with, because I told you that not recently, I was about to say recently, but within the past year, maybe 2 years, during lockdown, I rewatched Rise of Skywalker, and I was convinced J.J. Abrams and his writers were just on glue when they made that film, because none of it makes fucking sense.
I think you've just been confused, sitting there going, are they doing a bit?
They must have been, because every important step of their journey, they luck into. There's no planning, it just happens to go well for them.
Well, if we can segue away from this, because I feel like bashing Star Wars is far too easy a topic, I'd like to talk to you about a film, actually it might be kind of familiar to you already, The Man Who Laughs, a 1927 film that supposedly inspired the Joker from the DC comics. It's really strange just how good this movie is.
Right.
I've been watching a lot of old films recently, a lot of Nosferatu, the original vampire movie. I've got a lot of Buster Keaton movies or like Buster Keaton shorts on Blu-ray and stuff like that, just part of a collector's edition. I've been stocking up on Hitchcock, and I've got movies by a guy called David Lean as well.
David Lean. The name rings a bell, but I think off the top of my head.
One of the first adaptations of Great Expectations. That's probably the thing he's probably most known for. But somebody said no, his movies are really good. Also grabbed it's a person called Grace Abel or something like that. I can't remember. I know Abel's the surname. But it's a French director who was directing silent movies, including a 5.5-hour version of Napoleon's life. And this was supposed to be one of 6 movies he wanted to make about Napoleon.
Right.
You didn't get it all in the first draft. It's 5.5 hours long. What is the matter with you? Yeah, I got that on Blu-ray. It's gonna take a while to sit down and actually go through that, because that's a day. That's a solid recommend. That's a solid chunk of your day, just disappearing. And
absolutely. It was like when I decided to watch. You ever watched a film called Gettysburg?
No.
It's Jeff Daniels is in it. Stephen Lang from, appropriately Avatar, given what the trailer just dropped about 8 hours ago or something, I think it was.
Oh, wait, what? Avatar 2 is
really, really good film, but it's 6 hours long. And I once played the Gettysburg drinking game and was horribly drunk within the first 3 hours of the film, and sober and hungover during the last.
You know it's bad when you wake up sobering up. You're like, you're awake and sobering at the same time. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Can we have another drink, please?
Really good film though. Really fucking good film. So it depends on the subject matter. You can make 6 hour long films, but I think a 6 hour film about Napoleon would be, you'd have to really be into the source material.
Well, the thing is, it's made in 1922, so not gonna lie, like the source material is kind of like relevant. It's still kind of, I guess World War One or World War Two might actually be the appropriate kind of length of time to go back to get to the same time frame as Napoleon from that time. Yeah, it must be about that time. Yeah, because actually the same person has another film. Close the window where I had it open. It was J'accuse, It's a French anti-war film made in 1919, so obviously it worked. And it's like it's one of again like the kind of masterpiece moments of theater where it's like, no, this is the greatest anti-war film ever made, and I'm like, interesting. And it's made by the same person that did the Napoleon movie, so it's maybe not just all hype. So I've got that on order, or actually got that as well. Where the hell is it? You use Abel Gance. That's who it is I'm looking for. This is the name of the director for the Napoleon and J'accuse. So yeah,
Alright.
Be checking out a few of those films. But I watched The Man Who Laughs, and like there's a level of competency I didn't expect there from like a film that is that old. But remember, this is where all the kind of rules that we take for granted now are written. And a lot of it seems a bit more related to theatre at certain points. Like we've been to theatres to see productions and stuff like that. I know that did your church go to like theatre stuff at all?
No, the church that I used to go to going back a while anyway, going back to primary school, at least like 17 odd years, they wouldn't really go to the theatre. They'd put on their own kind of productions, but no, we never really did shit like that.
For some reason, one of the churches that I went to was obsessed with taking us to like the pantomime theatre every year. So you go to a couple theatre showings every year. Interesting. Don't know why you're taking us here, but it's better than church. Fuck it. I'll take it.
She takes us to the cinema.
I'm jealous.
Don't be. You still have to go to fucking church.
We went to the wrong church. Damn it. I mean, yeah, you might get eternal salvation, but you also get to go see some movies. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there might be religious movies. So. But quick tangent. Have you ever seen modern Christian American movies?
I didn't know that they were a thing.
They are borderline insane. I'll send you some videos. You have some shit to see. Starting with the franchise God's Not Dead. And it only goes downhill from there. But anyway, like the Man Who Laughs is just really well made. There's like I say, it's tied to theatre in a way that kind of all the sets look like you're supposed to be able to walk through them. I was expecting a lot of like painted backgrounds and stuff like that. Nothing like that. It all looks like a real place that they've just kind of borrowed for 5 minutes to film in. Yeah, it's about it's a revenge story, funnily enough. Considering that I also watched Old Boy the same day, the ultimate revenge story. And it's about a guy who obviously is horribly mutilated by a surgeon. As a child, he was sold to these surgeons because his father was a traitor to the king. And then it's about that man becoming a kind of traveling actor, but more of a kind of freak show type of actor than anything else. And it's about all these plots to either kill him or kind of give him back some power so he can be used as a kind of political puppet, and he can be used by the queen and all that, and just him falling in love with the wrong woman, or like a woman falling in love with him and unrequited love. It's really strange though, because like all these old films, like old Hollywood films, you talk about like current like modern day very kind of like female heavy movies. When you go back and watch the really old stuff, you can see why we need to change some of the rules as far as like women's agency in movies, because there is some shit that goes on in older films that's like, that's not a woman, that's a prop. It's not a character, that's just a thing that's there to be ogled.
Yeah, and that doesn't really go away until even some action films and stuff in the 80s. It was just like, you're not there for anything other than to look good and to be a plot point. And
smile and be perky.
We've come a long way.
That's your character.
Yeah.
It's but like, there's always this look that young Hollywood women have, and it's just like a kind of a lilting gaze, like the head just tilted slightly up, the eyes are just sparkling. I think they actually tilt the head to get the lights to sparkle on the eyes, but there's always kind of a little bit of a tilt, sparkling eyes, and just kind of a vacant expression on their face. Yeah. In this one, at least it kind of makes sense because the main girl is blind. Okay, right. But that's part of why they form a bond, is that when you see the face that they have on for the Man Who Laughs, it is horrifying, and you can't help but be kind of freaked out about it. And it is, remember all the stuff like Joker gas from the Batman comics?
Yeah, the Joker toxin.
Yes, it looks like that.
All right.
Like
So
he
that's his permanent sort of rictus grin type of thing.
Yes, rictus grin. That's right. That's the word I was looking for. And you can't help but be freaked out about it, and everyone can't help but laugh at it. But obviously, because she can't see it, she sees him for who he really is, which is obviously a bit more complex character, and he's a real human being, and that's kind of like how they kind of bond initially, and obviously it becomes like a love story.
Mm.
And it's really good. But then like it gets to later scenes, and you have like hundreds of extras. At one point, the man who laughs is being chased by the guard, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be like 10 dudes. It's at least 100 people with pole arms running into a crowd of several hundred people trying to just fight everyone who just decided, fuck it, we're gonna fight for the man who laughs. He's our person. He's not part of this whole conspiracy involving the crown. Like, he's not part of that world. He's part of our world, our kind of shitty, grubby, middle London in the 1500s or the 1700s. Like England, like he's our person. So a big fight scene erupts, and it's like there's a duel with them clashing swords on top of like a bridge, while there's like a couple hundred people fighting underneath. You're like, this is awesome. This is epic, on a scale I didn't expect from a movie from 1927.
It's always good when you go back and you find a really good sort of older film. I think for me, the oldest film I watched recently was Wayne's World 1, which is a old comedy film arising out of Saturday Night Live. Mike Myers' character Wayne and Dana Carvey's character Garth, who do this kind of like underground TV show, and that's actually what kind of made me really want to go to a gig, because just seeing them listening to sort of live music in a heavy metal bar just made me, I wanted to go and do that, but
yeah,
I had to buy my time.
Yeah, a kind of pang of jealousy. We actually need to look at what's coming up and maybe just plan a guy's night out.
We definitely need to, because I'm not missing Ghost again.
Yeah,
I'm fucking not missing Ghost.
You done fucked up, boy. You done fucked up.
Yeah, I done fucked up.
But yeah, like that, and also watched Old Boy, as I said. First time watching it, I think I want to see it again before I like really go in depth on it. But it's an amazingly good movie.
I think I've only seen bits of the Josh Brolin Spike Lee remake, so I don't think I'd be properly equipped to talk about that film.
I watched it through the Your Movie Sucks review of it, which is just going side by side, being like, this is what happens in this scene in the Korean version, and this is what happens in the shitty American remake. And you're like, okay. it's like just bit by bit, and it's just explaining what was chosen, what was done, what went wrong, and how it was totally misinterpreted, or like just totally pieces just cut out of it. Like, of all things to take out, they take away the hallway scene, which is my first introduction to Old Boy, which was when I first remember seeing it. I was way too young, and it had just kind of been leaked out that there was this weird Korean movie where dude just like beats up like 20 guys in the hallway with a hammer, and you're like, I want to go see that. I want to see that. And you find it on YouTube as like a dodgy rip, and it scared me. I remember when I was young, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't good. This isn't fun. This is brutal. This is a man actually hitting these people. Like, obviously acting, but like it looks way more real than it should. Of like, if you can actually fight your way through a hallway with dudes with a hammer, like, what does it actually take? Or what does it take out of you? And watching it, you're like, yeah, it seems about right. It's not going to be fun. But I forgot how big things was. Like, for some reason, I was worried that they'd spend too long in the first, like the 15 years he spends locked in a room. It's over in like 15 minutes. Less than that. I think it's less than that. For some reason, I think 11 minutes.
All right.
But it's a great sequence. And it's just a guy in a room slowly going insane. But the whole movie's really well done. The flashback scene was really weird. But in the right way. In that, like, it's weird in the way that it should be, because in the opening part of the Korean movie, he's drunk. And the editing was really kind of sloppy. It's kind of like quick cuts everywhere. And like it just takes things out, and like he's out of control, and it just cuts to different moments. You're like, oh yeah, if you were drunk and trying to remember what happened, you wouldn't really remember. You just have like this little bit here, like I yell at the cop here, call him a cunt. I meet these people who are like, and they're night out and they've been arrested too. And we hard cut to me just falling shirtless on the floor, trying to kick people in the face. Like it'd just be these weird fragments of memory, and you're like, okay, that kind of works. But then when they go into like a dream, it's the same thing. Like he just can't remember where he's supposed to go or what he's supposed to follow. So he just kind of sees things kind of darting around the corner of his vision. Oh, you know, I go here, and he's trying to put it all back together before he remembers what he saw that set the whole set of emotions and events. I won't spoil Old Boy for anyone because it's you've got to see it to believe it in a weird way, because the ending's phenomenal and insane in all the right ways.
It was one of those films that, it was always spoken about, because I know my older brother has seen it, and he was always talking about you need to watch it. Like, fuck the remake. Like, genuinely, like, go out your way to try and find a copy of the original. So it's always been on my fucking radar. Jesus.
The yawning is starting to get to him, people.
Fuck. It's getting better. You know when you yawn so much, your jaw starts clicking, and your eyes start watering.
I had it once where my jaw locked in place. I can feel
I've had that before.
I had the sympathy pain there, mate.
Fuck it. Alright, it's always been a film that's on my radar. Alright, you just find a copy, and I think now that I've got a bit of free time about me in between job search and running miles around my house, I think I'll probably pick up a copy and watch it.
Yeah.
After I get through those Satoshi Kon films, because I didn't need to get through those.
I'm trying to recommend. I'm trying to think if there was because thinking back through the movie, like, is there any way I could say actually watch Old Boy first to understand the Satoshi Kon stuff afterwards? But no, they don't really ping off each other as much as I thought they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely recommend. I would offer you my copy, but it's going to be passed around the family, and I'm like, watch the film.
Yeah.
I was convinced.
It's the same reason why I haven't offered you my copy of the new Edgar Wright film, because I'm making my brother watch it, and there's a couple other people that I know that are wanting to watch it as well. So
yeah, I was convinced. I talked to my sister-in-law about this. I was like, we've talked about this before. I just watched. I finally sat down and watched Old Boy. Such a great film. Like, almost like, kind of like, oh, so glad you recommended it. And she's like, what's Old Boy? What? What do you mean, what's Old Boy? But no, it turns out we've never talked about that film. I've talked to somebody in my life about that film. I just don't know who. So, oh well. I've talked to you a lot about it. Hopefully it's it's a solid film. It really is really good. Part of it's way more wacky than I thought it was going to be at points. There's just stuff that gets added in. I'm like, who did that? Like, there's a zoom into a mirror to show another character's face, but it zooms so far. It's kind of funny. It seems like it would be in like a kind of 80s, like kind of like Austin Powers type movie. Like, it looks like it belongs in the movie that Austin Powers is parodying, if that makes sense.
All right. So Austin Powers was parodying James Bond, so it looks like it should be in a James Bond film.
Yeah, I could see it in a James Bond movie. Actually, yeah, it would work. And I don't know why. It's so out of place. And it's when it happens, when you see it, you're like, oh my god, that is so weird. Why did they do that? But it's kind of funny.
I mean, if it works, it works. But I always thought Old Boy was kind of like a thriller horror film.
It is. But at the same time, I laugh at the wrong things. So. Yeah. Other than that, I watched the Wreck Armageddon film. I think we've talked about Wreck before, right? The Spanish zombie films.
Yeah.
I was so bored by this movie, I may have skipped through parts of it.
What is is there not one of the Wreck films that takes place in a wedding?
That's the third one. First one is the gimmick of the Wreck. The gimmick of the Wreck films is that there's always somebody recording the event, so you kind of have like a found footage of a zombie apocalypse happening. First film is a news reporter who's filming with a fire department team, and they go out to a building to deal with an old lady who's stuck in her house. They're okay, firemen break in the door, they'll go in and check on her, and oops, she's a zombie. Second film...
Yeah, and they go from like floor to floor through a block of flats, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, she's at the top level of the flats, and like not very action based. It's like the original kind of indie budget it has was kind of like, okay, you have like 5 firemen for 5 days. That's what you've paid for. That's what you get. Second one is a group of SWAT members showing up to the same block of flats as the first film, and them dealing with what's inside.
So they're like the aftermath.
Yes, very interesting way of doing a film, because like you see stuff from the first one, you're like, oh, that's what happened there. Oops, because it's all found footage. You only get to see what the cameraman sees. So if the cameraman wasn't there for something, and you just kind of ominously leave a fight going on or like a character left in distress, you never see what happens to them. You just kind of like, you have to kind of assume. And leaving you without actually showing you it leaves the kind of all the worst to your imagination, which is really effective way to do the horror film. Showing it the next film is kind of impressive too, because it's like, ooh, we missed it on, ooh, that's a lot of blood. Oh shit, you know? It leaves you with a different kind of horror. It's very, very effective.
Yeah.
Third one is more of a, again, I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy film. I laughed at it. But the zombie outbreak.
Remember the third one, they just ditched the whole found footage thing as well. They start off the film with the found footage, then just go to positional camera.
Yes, the first part of it is it's the zombie apocalypse at a wedding, and then the first half is obviously the wedding photography footage, and then yeah, say like they ditch it to become more of a kind of traditional movie. I forgot that was a kind of the conceit of the Rec films, and just sat down to watch it, and it wasn't until afterwards I was actually talking to someone else about it. I was texting my brother, I was like, yeah, the film's kind of mediocre, I skipped 2 parts of it, dialogue's bad, trying to make me care about characters I give 2 fucks about. I think the girl from the first film's back, I don't care. All this garbage, and they're on a ship, it's not really, it's kind of effective in using the ship setting, because obviously you get the bulkhead doors, so you can use those to lock zombies away, which is cool. But at the same time, everything you think could happen with bulkhead doors and zombies happens. It's very predictable. But I got to the end of it and was just like, thinking about it, there was never a single POV camera shot at all in the entire fucking film. That's the gimmick. There's a little bit of security camera footage, but the idea of cameras existing in this world is basically fucking non-existent. And I'm like, that's what this entire franchise is built on. So it's pretty disappointing, not gonna lie. Because I really love the first couple Rec films, and the third one's fun. Like it's one of the things of like, okay, they kind of dropped the quality of the franchise, but it paid off with a funny movie, so I don't care. Whereas this was just kind of bland and mediocre. So yeah, I didn't enjoy Rec Armageddon as much as I thought I would. It's a shame because it's been sat on my my shelf for a while. I say it's one of those films that I'm gonna get to it. It's there eventually. I'll get to it one day, and just got to it, sat down, and went, that was a waste of my time. Kind of wish I'd done something else with it. Hence why I watched Oldboy. So
yeah.
If nothing else, it got me to watch Oldboy. Yeah. Where do you want to go from here?
I'm struggling to find topics. I've not really watched or done much new. Talk about Moon Knight if you want, but
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I could talk about Moon Knight.
I don't have a segue for that. Go for it.
Fuck it. So new Disney Plus show, and a kind of weird choice. Rather than going with, let's take an established character and put him into the MCU, they just plucked a random superhero, in my opinion, and chucked him into the MCU. They must have some reason for it. Kevin Feige always has a plan. He's probably planned it the next 15 years of his life.
Yeah.
So the latest Disney Plus show to hit before the next big film is Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac as titular character, who's, I'll just say it, not in it all that much. The main character, Moon Knight, barely fucking in it. They do the basic minimum to justify calling it Moon Knight by having Moon Knight in it for all of about 5 minutes out of 6 total episodes.
So when you say like Moon Knight's not in it, do you mean like the character in total of Moon Knight, or like Moon Knight with the mask on?
Isn't like Moon Knight with the costume, the armor, and the hood and stuff on?
Right.
Barely in it.
That's a shame. Is it?
Yeah, because Moon Knight's a really cool character if done right. I just don't think they gave Moon Knight the right amount of time. I think it could have benefited from at least a couple more episodes. Or it could have benefited from tightening up a couple more episodes, because they spend a lot of time dealing with... Because at one point, something happens to Mark Spector, they deal with that for 2 episodes straight. Okay, that could have been sped up, because we didn't need to spend that long dealing with their shady past.
Wait, how many episodes is there total for the season?
6.
And they spend 2 of it on one thing?
Yeah, they spent 2 of it on the exact same thing.
Huh.
Again, people are saying that those are the best episodes, but I just remember being quite bored during those 2 episodes.
I mean, if you have something massive happen to the character, you can justify it.
I mean, the image, the bit that precedes it is, pretty big, is quite damaging to the character. I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible because as much as I didn't really enjoy Moon Knight as much as I thought I would, I don't really want to spoil it for anybody else because it is, a lot of people other than me are probably thinking Moon Knight's the best character. I'm going to watch this and love him. Okay, I won't spoil it for you. But for me, Moon Knight was a weird choice, just purely because I don't think anyone really knows who Moon Knight is. It's like when they brought in Shang-Chi and the Eternals, clearly Marvel have just built up so much credibility with people that they're just taking swings.
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what they're doing with Moon Knight. And I'm not saying that the show as a whole doesn't work. There are some points of it that are really quite good, like the Mark Spector has a personality disorder, multiple personality disorder. So he's got his main sort of personality is Mark Spector. That is the main character, or one of the main characters. But you're introduced to his sort of backup personality, Stephen Grant, who's this kind of foppish gift shop assistant that works in a museum in London. And you kind of see part of the show through his eyes, you see part of the show through Mark's eyes, but then you kind of course, when you have warring personalities, of course there has to be the kind of the peace moment where they make amends with each other and realize that they can have a timeshare in their own body type of thing.
Maybe we're not so different after all. We're the same guy.
Yeah. I did find that very weird. I was like, oh, maybe we can get along. You are in the exact same body. Is that not weird to any of you?
And then is there a third personality, or is it just two?
There is a third personality, but that's not confirmed until the end. That's the only spoiler I'll give you.
Right, okay.
There is a third personality, Jake Lockley, who is, I mean, he's you go through the show whereas Steven's the kind of the careful, timid one. Mark is more the kind of the badass, killer type of character, but then you realise that the third personality is the real bloodthirsty killer, Jake Lockley, who appears at the end. And we only see him for about all of 5 minutes in total in that episode. So hopefully, if they do a season 2, I'll get to see more of it. But I was watching an interview with Ethan Hawke, who plays the series bad guy, Arthur Harrow. He was talking about how he plays his character very calm and collected and well thought out, purely because Moon Knight is played as a very broken, disjointed character, so they kind of complement the hero being a bit, not all there, a bit disjointed. He plays his character very well put together, very calm and collected. And I thought, that kind of shines through, but ultimately, he doesn't really prove to be much of a villain, in my opinion. He doesn't really do anything villainous until maybe even the last part of the film, or last part of the series. But ultimately, I think they rushed it a bit too much. So he just kind of goes, I'm a bad guy. Oh, wait, I've been stopped.
Oh, no, I had a weakness. Oh, no.
I mean, I'd recommend watch it, because I don't think Moon Knight's done. I think Moon Knight's either going to get a second season, or Moon Knight is going to show up in multiple different MCU projects, because having Moon Knight as part of the MCU opens up the door to kind of supernatural aspect, like with Blade, with the Black Knight, with I've heard that they're going to bring in Ghost Rider soon, so that kind of opens it up to
maybe Morbius.
I mean, if they want to go and kill Morbius, I think Marvel would be happy about that.
I wonder if that becomes a bit in the next Deadpool movie. Deadpool just shows up and beats the fuck out of Jared Leto.
You were warned.
I want to see that now, please. Ryan Reynolds, make it happen.
They're writing Deadpool 3 just now, so
I think that's a
that
possibility, yeah.
Yeah, definitely getting that soon.
So Moon Knight is kind of wasted potential. Is that fair?
Yeah, wasted potential. It would be better if they gave it another few episodes, and it would be much better if or when they give it another season.
Well, I was going to
Because
ask that, is that 6 episodes seems a bit short, even for Disney nowadays, with streaming platforms being kind of what they do, what they want, really.
yeah,
I was going to ask, do you think that this is like a split season where it turns out, oh, by the way, Moon Knight Season 1 Part 2 starts in 3 weeks' time?
usually Marvel are really, really good at teasing people back. Because you remember at the end of Civil War, it said Spider-Man will return, uh, all that kind of shit. At the end of Loki, they put up saying Loki will return in season 2. There was none of that at the end of Moon Knight.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It'd be stupid to leave it at season 2. Leave it at season 1. It needs a season 2 in my opinion. But from what I've heard through interviews with the cast, I don't think it is actually going to happen, which is a shame because it does need a bit of fleshing out.
How do they do the armor, the character, or the kind of cloth? Because it's all white, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all CGI. All the
Hmm.
transformations are done CGI, but I think they actually did have a costume.
Okay. I just.
And they
And you
and
go.
like the hood and the mask. I think that's all CGI as well because again another tiny little spoiler. There's two different versions of Moon Knight depending on who's in control of the body.
Right, okay.
So there's Moon Knight, which is Mark Spector, and then there's Mr. Knight when it's Stephen Grant, because when Stephen's in control of the body, he starts, communicating, talking to himself, and saying, how do I activate my powers? What do I do? And he says, well, you need a suit. So he takes that as just a regular business suit. And his version of Moon Knight has got like the cool business suit and the mask without the hood. So and how quickly they snap back between those two when he switches personalities. They couldn't really do it practically. So they could do the things like, oh, right, they've changed costume, it's CGI, but if they're sticking with one character for a long time, it's probably more practical.
Yeah.
And they just CGI in the mask.
Huh. Because I was
a
worried
lot
that.
of CG in this series. A lot of CG.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
It's well done. It's Marvel well done CG, but it's still there's some uncanny valley shit.
Yeah, I was worried about the all white suit because I don't even remember that time Jaden Smith had an all white Batman costume. I was worried
Yeah,
it'd just be that.
they do a really good job of kind of muddying it up, making it look not pure, clean, straight out of the box iPhone white.
Okay, that's at least something.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's another kind of, I don't want to say failure because most of the Disney Plus shows have been watchable. It's another kind of let's get something out on Disney Plus type of show with not a lot of new things to it. It does do one thing really well that no other Disney Plus show has done, and that is be self-contained. With all other Disney Plus shows, you can feel them winking at the camera, just going, remember when I fought Thanos? Wink.
Yeah, I suppose this is the first one to not have an Avengers backstory or pre-existing like part of that universe. This is beginning its own journey into that. Yeah. Okay, that's a fair point actually. That, yeah, I didn't consider that this is supposed to be your intro. Like this is Moon Knight 101. You know.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it will be their intro to the character because, as I said earlier, no one knows who Moon Knight is.
Not even himself.
Exact.
Actually,
Three of those fuckers rattling around in there.
I was gonna say, actually, that might be a plot point that there are several Midnights you might not know about. Whoops.
But it will be. It's not a character that I'm entirely familiar with either. I've heard of Moon Knight in there was no Xbox 360 PS3 game called Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and Moon Knight appears as a kind of gives you a bunch of side quests. And I think you can fight him if you go a certain route in the game as well. But that's all that I know about Moon Knight. Originally, he was introduced as a bit of a kind of Batman mistake. He was a billionaire. Then they kind of changed that to he was a mercenary who was near death and contacted by the voice of a god, told to serve him, that kind of thing.
I was going to ask, what's roughly his power level?
He's your typical kind of. I think he has super strength and he's got super regeneration, like he's got super endurance type of thing. But I think he's just not quite as good Captain America level. Like he's fairly strong, but not superhumanly Hulk level strong.
Okay, that's not so bad. was worried for some reason we're talking like, he'd be like the right hand of God or something like that. He's vengeful deity or something like that.
Oh yeah, he is the avatar for a vengeful god, but he's not supremely powerful. Like his armor takes a lot of his hits, but he can still take damage.
Well, at least that's something. Too many gods running around these days.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, I don't have much to talk about. Maybe Elden Ring.
I genuinely have nothing else. I'm scrambling to think of shit to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I'll maybe just do a quick thing about, I'm playing Elden Ring, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure.
Right. Do you have a showstopper? Oh, not a showstopper. Elevator pitch?
No. I don't have an elevator pitch.
We'll do Beast in Black, Broken Survivors then.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of vengeful deities, I've been playing Elden Ring. The From Software game.
And half the country, or half the planet.
I'm actually kind of glad we took a bit of a break, because every podcast I listened to was literally just, I tried Elden Ring, and I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. This is what I do now. And this is all I want to play, all I'm ever going to play. And it has been a month solid, at least 2 months maybe in some places, where that's all anyone's really talked about. And it's kind of like, at least I don't have to explain my addiction, because I already like these games. I've played through all the Dark Souls mainline games. I have not played Bloodborne or Sekiro. But yeah, I am a big fan of FromSoft's Souls games, and Elden Ring is the spiritual successor to those. And yeah, everything else you've heard about this game from everyone else that plays it is correct. It is a fucking amazing game. I'm addicted. My first character, I think I actually just called him Jimmy, was like 110 hours of gameplay to complete it once.
Easy.
I'm still playing with that character because I have a few bosses to beat, and yes, it is Melania, or Melania, or whatever her name is, the one with the wings and the samurai sword. She's a total pain in the ass, and I fucking love her. It's a horrible relationship I've developed with this cartoon character. It is a very deep, immersive game that you could spend hours on. And then you see the people speedrunning it, and I'm like, oh man, like me and my brothers started playing it, and it started with me, and then my brother was like, I'm not sure, I'll maybe try and get it, maybe I'll because he got COVID on his birthday, or around his birthday, so he got all his money, like he got a bunch of money from people in cash, because he was going to go spend it on tattoos or something like that, so he went to have it in cash to pay for the tattoos in cash. And was like, I really wish I'd got some of it in like a digital thing so I could get the game and I could play this, because I have to wait till payday now. And I said, shut up and take my money, and sent him the money for the game. So it went from me ranting and raving about how this awesome game I was playing to my brother joining me. The other brother in the chat was like, I have no idea what any of you people have said, because we were just sending out of context stuff about turtle popes and the woman with like who throws the moon at you and all this stuff. We're just sending the stuff that seems like a fever dream. And he's just sat in the corner being like, what are you talking about? I don't understand any of these references. Is this my fault? I don't know what to do. And we got him into it. We talked about it so much, he said, you know what, I'm gonna play this game. I can like, if I don't like it, I'm gonna send it back. Like, okay, you're gonna like it, just start playing, because he hates those games. He just never got into them like the way we did. And just watching him go, man, this first boss really kicking my ass. Oh my god, I won. Oh my god, like that's the one thing that's been consistent across all of our playthroughs, is the bosses kick our ass. Doesn't matter which one, eventually one of them will just have your number. And the bosses kick your ass, and then you learn to beat them, and then the feeling you get afterwards is like after you bust a nut. There is no other way to describe what happens to your head after beating an Elden Ring boss. There is just a moment of just sheer joy and perfection. That was just all the scrambling, all the hard work you had to put in to actually win the fight against the boss, and then just the feeling afterwards when like it's done, it's over, and it's just those like couple seconds before you realize it's on to the next boss is just fantastic. And it's been a joy to explore it and just to kind of walk around through the world. I think I've put a screenshot or two on Twitter just of like my gameplay footage, I'm playing it on like medium settings, and it's gorgeous. I'm hoping at some point I can upgrade my graphics card, and at that point I'm going to play it with the big boy settings on. Holy shit, this game is going to be gorgeous to look at with like the full settings or like tweaked settings.
Yeah.
Because right now on medium it still looks great, but there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of details, a lot of polish that is going underappreciated. And then
it's good, but it can be better.
Yeah, and it can be better with like a few button pushes in the settings, which is a massive like improvement for me. But the like then you see speedrunners play it and they're like, okay, we've beat the game in 7 minutes. You're like, what?
Yeah, I seen one of those. The guy backflips through a floor or something like that and completes the game in 2 minutes 40 seconds.
And you're like, fuck off. But yeah, that's the good thing is it's an RPG, it's a role playing game. You should be able to experience it in different ways. I went for the guts build. Feeling my berserk mood right now. Might as well go for the berserk character. And then having my brother go through, and his playstyle is much more like kind of half magic, half sorcery, or half sword, half sorcery based. And then my other brother's going dexterity build. So we're playing the same game 3 different ways, and just getting to talk and compare notes and stuff like that. And it's everywhere. Like I've got people at work who have been playing it. I've actually got people at work who have had their partners complain to me that their partner's spending too much time on the game or on certain bosses, and she's like, just teach him how to beat that boss. I can't fucking stand it anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'll send him some notes. Have you tried this? And he comes back to me 2 days later. I beat it, yeah. But the thing is, I've never got to be part of the community that shares the knowledge of the game to other people. I'm always on the receiving end of like trying to figure out how things work, because I'm not good at these games. That's what I really stress to people. I'm not good at them. I'm just stupid enough to keep bashing my way through them. So when I have my playthroughs, it's very kind of brute force. Like I've the Tree Sentinel. I actually made a video about the Tree Sentinel where I just get kicked in the face repeatedly. I think I show about 40 deaths to the same boss. That's like not even that might be about a third of the footage I have. I genuinely think I died to this boss about 100 times. And that's just my playstyle. It's just sheer force of will. I am going forward. The boss will not stop me. Which is why I'm hitting like massive massive roadblocks, like Millennia at the Hagroot tree is just insanely talented, and I just can't beat her. But I'm gonna get there one day, and the feeling I get afterwards is why I play the way I do. It's just for that kind of dopamine rush of you win, So I've got a couple options. I may keep playing with Jimmy as this kind of fake version of Guts, or I may go back, or I might start a new character, or I might play New Game Plus, because I want to try out the dexterity builds, because there's the meta and the way people break things down seems to suggest that I'm definitely playing the game wrong. I'm not even playing with all the tools at my disposal. I'm not good with those tools either. So I get the feeling it's a much easier game for me that I could play, within the same disc essentially.
Yeah, I should also say that I've never played a Soulsborne game at all. I played a bit of Dark Souls 1, and I couldn't get past the first area because my playstyle doesn't really lend well to those type of games, so I got my ass kicked continually. But Elden Ring did kind of at least interest me in a lore setting. Then I had to just keep reminding myself, like, don't play this game. You're going to spend too long trying to beat a game that you're never going to be good at. So just don't buy it.
Yeah, I get the feeling people are going to start this game feeling pretty fit and healthy and good about themselves, and leave on like heart medication. It's that type of game that's going to just really stress people out. But if you're up for it, I'm more than happy to let you play on my PC for a bit. If you're ever down here, I'm more than happy to give you at least a demo run of it. But if you don't think it's going to be for you, I wholeheartedly get it. This is
like I said, I've tried Soulsborne games, and I don't have the patience to learn all the intricacies and all the boss patterns and everything like that. I prefer to just headbutt my way through things. And
I get it. It's one of the things of like, no one is ever going to get to appreciate everything you like the same way you do, so don't really force it on anyone. But speaking of forcing things we like on other people, it's time for an elevator pitch, and funnily enough, we have a joint elevator pitch, and it's one we've already sent to many of you, via Twitter. I think we're going with Beast in Black's video for Broken Survivors off their album Dark Connection. That was my album of the year for last year. And yeah, they finally made the music video they wanted for this one. And it's awesome. Dom, you want to talk about it some more?
Yeah, it's the reason why it's a joint elevator pitch is because I, after listening to last year's podcast, or recording last year's podcast, or end of the year podcast, started listening to The Beast in Black. Then Colin sent me the video for Broken Survivors, and I was like, all right, okay, I've heard the song before, but just somehow putting it to Berserk, and it scratched a weird part of my brain. I was like, okay, I dig this all the more now, because you now get the meaning behind the words. You now get all right, clearly they're trying to talk to a certain, or tell you a certain story, and the video itself is not it's not set to clips of Berserk. It's just set to really, really high quality Berserk art, and it's only 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes,
something like that. Yeah,
it's not a long song, but it is a fucking good song that you will have on repeat a few times.
Yeah, if you happen to have read the Berserk story or watched it at any point, listening to the song, even without the visuals, this is Guts and Casca's song.
Yeah,
which is a shame in a very dark and sad way.
Yeah.
But that's the way we would have wanted it, so yeah, you'll find the link. Well, actually post the link this time, because last week, I should apologise, I forgot to put the link for Teleporty's channel in the actual video, or in the actual episode description, so it didn't go out to everyone. So I put it on our Twitter page, or you can just go to youtube.com and look for the channel Teleporty. And yeah, I will definitely put the Beast in Black Broken Survivors link in this one. Oh my god, I'm going to fuck it up. There we go.
If he doesn't get it, I will.
Well, if I do fuck it up, you can always reach out to talk to us on Twitter at Gibberpish, or you can reach out to us at gibberpishpodcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Dom Anderson.
And we've been talking Gibberpish.